I have a funny story. Bear with me. I'm sorry. So during Couple of Girls, it's like 2002 or 2003. I'm living in LA, and my buddies and I are playing like Grand Theft Auto or Gran Turismo or something, and it's like 1:30 in the morning, and they stop selling beer at 2, and so we're like, let's go get some beer at Ralph's, the grocery store. And so we go, we walk in, it's like 1:45 in the morning, and they can't sell after 2. And so we get in there, and there's this little, short man, probably in his 60s or 70s, I can't tell. He's got like a Hawaiian shirt.
Jared, everybody is short to you.
But I assumed he was like didn't have a home, sort of. And he had all these bottles of wine that were like Ralph's brand wine, that they were on sale for like $1 or $3 or whatever. And so we're just like, I'm like, hey man, I've never had wine in San Francisco. I was like, that must be good. He was like, yeah, you ever have it? I was like, no. He's like this funny old man. He's like, well, come with me. That's with my arm, and I'm like, look at my buddy laughing. And he takes me to the end of the aisle, and he's like, try the Cabernet Sauvignon and do it. And I was like, okay. I'm just having I'm tickled. We get back to the checkout counter, and the cashier asks this man, hey, can I have your ID? And he goes, you don't think I'm 21? He's like, no, I can't sell it unless I scan an ID. Like, that's just, I know you're 21. The guy's like, okay, put him in us, great. Gives his ID, and the cashier grabs his ID to scan it, and he goes like this. Like, weird reaction, scans it, and is like, thank you, sir. Have a good night. Like, he's like shaking. And I'm thinking either this guy is like 100 years old or like 20 years old. But for some reason, that's weird. And so he gets a step and says, enjoy the wine. And he leaves. And the cashier is still like ashen-faced. And I was like, what's going on, man? He goes, you know who that was? I go, no. He goes, that was Eddie Van Halen. And there's windows that see up the parking lot, and I'm like, what? And I look out, and he's loading all of these like $3 bottles of wine for his Ferrari Testarossa.
We're shooting a pilot for Fox in New York City, in Manhattan, and we were on the Upper West Side doing a walk and talk scene with Steadicam, and it was just me and one other guy, Chris Palaha, some of you may know that actor. And we were doing just a walking and talking scene, and while the camera was getting reloaded, this car pulls up, and it's blaring classical music, and it's a convertible. And I look over, and it's Chevy Cheiz. And we're standing on the sidewalk here, and he's probably that far away from me. And I'm like, this is one of, like, the funniest actors that of my time. I'm like, this guy, he's like a comic genius, in my opinion. I love the Saturday Night Live stuff was amazing. I could probably quote you The Three Amigos. Christmas Vacation, I watch it every year. Like, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, say something to him. It's Chevy Cheiz, say something. And this was kind of before he kind of went away for a while and didn't do anything for a long time, and then I think he came back and did Community was his first thing. So not thinking about, I don't know why, but I'm like, set him up for a joke. And I go, hey Chevy, you want to be my stand-in? That's what came out. I don't know why. And he looks at me with just this, like, how dare you? Doesn't say a word and then just speeds off. And I was like, I blew it. It was a joke. And Chris, who was standing next to me, just hits me. He's like, dude, you know he hasn't worked in like 10 years. So I feel the need to apologize to him if I ever do see him again. But anyway.
A few weekends ago, Pearl Jam was in Vancouver, and so we went and saw him. And I was so impressed. I mean, he's better, for God's sake. But still, he's like grabbing my stands and smashing them and stuff. He walks on stage with 2 bottles of wine that have been opened and then the cork stuck in. I was like, I love the man. I love it. Will you marry me?
Which if it wasn't, 6:30 our time, we might have done it this morning,
Yeah.
but no.
Going better.
Although I will say that I've never seen Jared fangirl out like he did. No, I'm not kidding. We got backstage, and I had to leave. I was like, I can't watch this. I mean, Jared's just like,
Wait, Jensen, stand over here. I can look right over your shoulder. I can see it.
and who was it that
It was Mike McCready.
Mike McCready,
Yeah.
the guitar player, and finally was like, dude, just go talk to him. Okay. What'd you say?
I walked in. I don't know.
I love you.
I think he was scared by my profuse sweating.
What? Is he just like,
I think it was something like this.
I'm like, I'm gonna get you a towel. Go say hi to him. Come back, dry you off.
Well, I walked in and we walk in backstage, and I don't expect to see him because it's before they go on. And Mike McCready's standing there, and I'm like, oh my God, like I've been listening to you for 20 years, but I kind of didn't say anything. But I start squeezing Jen's hand real hard.
Jen, not Jensen. Jen.
Jen.
We make that clear.
Yeah.
We were not holding hands
Avi.
at the Pearl Jam concert.
Jen, it could have been your hand.
Although if I was standing next to him, I'm sure he would have grabbed it and started squeezing.
But I started squeezing
Could have
her
been
hand.
anybody. It was
I didn't realize it though. And she was like, baby. What? Quit distracting me. I'm looking at Mike McCready. I think I went up. I was like, and Cliffy was there. He's like, dude, I'm sure you can he's just talking to people. He's like, I don't know, man, I don't know. So finally I walked up, and I think it went something like this. Mike. So I walked away and I was like, man, I always hoped I wouldn't react like that. And meanwhile, I've met like Tom Hanks and Johnny Depp. I met a lot of my actor idols. Worked with Peter O'Toole, but Mike McCready, I was like,
Oh, it was precious. I had to leave the room. I couldn't stand there and witness it.
Let's get the real story.
Panicking so much that Daniil actually turned to me and said, he's gonna get us kicked out.
That was my wife who was like, he's got to stop. I hate to see her go, but I love to watch her leave. Oh, he's gonna pay for that one. I know Jen, he's gonna pay for that one. Am I bleeding?
And Eddie, in true rock and roll fashion, smoked a cigarette, right? And Jared, who does not smoke, goes, can I get a drag of that?
That's really cool.
Yeah, can I get a drag of that?
Hopping on that.
And then just my slow turn to Jared was, I didn't care. And Eddie's slow reaction of, Jared then takes the cigarette out of his hand, puffs, goes, and hands it back, and Eddie goes, you keep it. And then I said, it was nice to meet you. That's all. And I walked him to the parking lot, and we left.
True story. He really did. He was like, "Yep, I got him. I got him." I left, went home, and flew back to Vancouver. The next morning, like 6 a.m.
Just head between your chest.
I was like, I always wished I wouldn't act like that.
So yes, there. What about you? Have you had a moment where